Good evening, my YouTube viewers. It is Palestine here. Welcome to my channel. I'm just making this video because I've spent pretty much the entire day looking after my friend because today is his birthday. And so my boyfriend and I wanted him to have a nice birthday. So, we spent the entire day with him. I got up at like maybe 7 o'clock this morning and I made a data science video that's on my data science channel, Crystal X, if you're interested in data science. And then after I made that video, I had to brush my teeth and put my clothes on and make some breakfast, which was a slice of bread with peanut butter and chocolate on it. I had to take all my tablets. And then when all that was going on, my friend turned up at like maybe 8:30 or 9 o'clock or some, maybe definitely before 9, because he wanted to wear a suit for his birthday because it was a special occasion and he wanted to wear a suit. So he had this suit that he's had 7 or 8 years, and it was too tight. And the reason why is because he is a comfort eater. And so obviously he's trapped in this terrible marriage and he doesn't want anybody to know what's going on at home. So he's terribly unhappy at home. So he spends as much time as he possibly can in my home. But he can't just sit there and be quiet and let me do my work. He has to have all my attention. And so because he has to have all my attention, I'm not able to do the things that I need to do when he's here because he wants my attention. And so that's just the way it goes. I mean, we know how it goes. He spends a minimum of 3 hours a day here because he's so miserable at home. He can't bear to be at home. So he'd rather come over to my tiny little studio apartment and spend time with me. So he got here and then so he put on his suit. His suit was too tight because he's been comfort eating. And then, but he went ahead and wore the suit to the church. So he went to the church wearing his suit because it was a special occasion. It was his birthday. He had told everybody in the church that it was his birthday. So he went in to help put the tables, and everything in the church. And they told him not to worry about it. They told him just to go sit down and enjoy himself. And they would do it. So he sat there in the church. But we had to get there at 9:30 because I was singing. And so I was actually late getting to the church. And the reason why is because I had to piddle around and wait for him to change his clothes on, change into his suit. And then I had to piddle around because my boyfriend had forgotten something. And so we had to piddle around and wait for my boyfriend to brush his teeth and put on this shirt that he wanted to wear. And then so we finally got to the church, and then I had to go to the bathroom because you never know what's going to happen. So I had to go to the bathroom, and then I got there to do the singing, and I told him, I said, I'm really sorry I'm late. And then my boyfriend was also welcoming people at the front door. So because I had to piddle around and wait for my friend and piddle around and wait for my boyfriend, I was late. And then so we did the singing. We practiced singing for an hour, and my friend sat next to me, and he was just messing around with his phone because he can't sing because he's dyslexic. And so not only is he dyslexic, there's something wrong with his voice, and it's a bit nasally or whatever, and he doesn't want to hear his voice. He says that he hates his voice. So he can't sing because he's dyslexic, because he can't read the music, and he doesn't like his voice. His voice is nasally. And so we did the singing. We did the singing through the service because I volunteer to sing at the service. So we did the singing, and then when the service was over, they were having a meal. So we had to stay for the meal. And then, so I did get a big meal. Normally, when you have the meal, you only get a few spoonsful of food. I wouldn't even call it a meal. I would call it an appetizer. But this particular meal, we did actually get a lot of food, and we got a pudding. So I got a big meal, a big lunch this time, which is highly unusual because usually they only give you like maybe 1 or 2 or maybe 3 spoonsful of food, and you can't live on that. That's a starter. That's an appetizer. That's not a meal. But today we had a meal. We had like pasta bake. And then so I also got a pudding. I wasn't intending to get a pudding, but my friend said, oh, they've got pudding. So he had a big meal and he had 2 puddings. And then I told him, because I've got 2 pairs of jeans that are ripped. And obviously I cannot afford to buy new jeans. So I wanted to go get an iron-on patch and iron the patch onto the jeans so that I could continue wearing the jeans and the tear wouldn't get any bigger. So I told my boyfriend, I said, well, I want to go to Hobbycraft to get these iron-on patches. And I said, you can go to my apartment with my friend. But my boyfriend said he didn't have his keys. So since he didn't have his keys, that meant I had to wait for my boyfriend to finish his lunch. And then I had to wait for my friend to finish his puddings. And then before we could leave, because my boyfriend didn't have his keys, so he couldn't get into my apartment. So when we were leaving, I said to my friend, I said, I have to go over to Hobbycraft. I said, I said, do you want to go to Hobbycraft with me? Or do you want to go to the temple? Well, he didn't want to go to the temple. He said, well, I thought I was going to get to stay at your place. Because I had said he could stay at my place and take a nap. And I said, okay, you can stay at my place if you want. So we had to walk back, and I had to open the door for my boyfriend. And then my friend went directly to the bathroom, and he changed his clothes. He got out of those trousers because those trousers were too small for him because he's a comfort eater. And then I told my boyfriend, I said, well, I said, I'm going to go to Hobbycraft now. I said, be sure and lock the door. I said, I will phone you when I'm finished with Hobbycraft. So I went over to Hobbycraft. Fortunately, I got 2 packets of iron-on patches for £9. But it was 2 packages, and it was cheaper than, it would have been if I had bought new jeans, which I can't afford to buy new jeans. I have to get my clothes at handouts. Although this outfit that I'm wearing now is a dress that I got at Poundland for £7 or £8. And I got it because I like it. But normally I wouldn't even buy anything new except for underwear. I'll buy underwear like bras and panties. I'll buy those new. I'm not going to wear used bras and panties. And shoes. I'll buy shoes new because I'm not going to wear shoes that somebody else has worn. And then, so I went to Hobbycraft. I got my 2 packets of iron-on patches for £9. And then I phoned my boyfriend and I said, well, it's not worth it for me to walk to the bus stop. So I'm going to walk to the handout And so I said, so I'll either meet you on the way to the handout or I'll meet you at the handout. So I walked all the way across town to this handout because it would take just as long for me to get to the handout as walking as it would have been for me to find a bus stop, walk back to my house to the bus stop, take the bus, and then walk to this handout. It would have taken just as long, if not longer. So I decided the best thing to do was walk to the handout. So I walked to the handout, and my boyfriend, I guess he took the bus. He walked to the bus stop, took the bus into town, and walked to the handout. And even with all that, he got to the handout just a few minutes after I did. And then, so we went to this handout, and we got some chicken because we always get chicken. That's what we like, is the chicken. And I looked at the clothes, but they didn't have any clothes that are my size or my style. They did have one pink top that was an extra large that I could have worn, but I didn't think it was long enough because I like to have my tops long to cover all my fat. I don't want a short top. So I didn't select it because I just didn't think it would be long enough to cover all my fat. And then so I told my boyfriend, I said, well, I'm ready to go. So they didn't have very much food to give out to eat then and there at the handout, but my boyfriend wanted a drink. So we sat down and had a drink, and I told him, I said, I want to go. And so we went, and then we had to go to Poundland. And the reason why we had to go to Poundland was because my boyfriend had to get a roll of the biggest bin liners he could find. And the reason why is because his landlord wants him to paint this room. Well, normally it's the landlord's responsibility to do that, but they're telling my boyfriend that they want him to paint this room. And so I told my boyfriend that I would take time off work to help him paint this room. So we waited until the very last minute to look at a YouTube video about how to paint a room. Because I said to him, maybe you should look at a YouTube video. And then so they said that this YouTube video said that he had to have a floor covering. And also, in addition to that, they wanted him to paint the ceiling. So we went to the pound shop, got these bin liners. I told him to get the biggest bin liners he could find. And then we took the bus home. And then so I had to ring up my friend and say, well, I'm on the way home. You know, I'm just letting you know I'm on the way home. And he said, well, ring me when you get home because I got the chain lock on. So I said, okay. So we get off at the bus stop, and we walk just outside of my flat, and I phone him and I say, well, we're just outside the flat we're walking in. So he takes the chain off the lock, and then we walk in, and he'd been sleeping in my room because I told him he could. I told him he could have a nap. I told him that I thought that his home life was so bad that he wasn't getting enough sleep, so he could take a nap in my bedroom. So he took a nap in my bedroom, and then I thought he was going to change back into his suit, but I think he didn't want to do that. I think that his suit was just too small. He's gained too much weight. And so he just wanted to wear the clothes that he came in my flat in this morning. And then so by that time I said, well, I'm going to need to lay down and rest. So he went for a walk to see this lady that we both know, and he spent about an hour with her, however long it was. And then he came back. And when he came back, I was getting ready. Had to brush my teeth, and I had to change into this outfit that I'm wearing now. And I've even got a little necklace on. And there's a story behind that too, because I put my necklace on, and he was asking me, did I wear jewelry? And I told him, I said, yes, I used to wear jewelry. I said, when I worked at Foster Wheeler, I wore jewelry. I said, but when I got harassed out of Foster Wheeler, I was so depressed that I didn't want to wear jewelry anymore. But I'm wearing this necklace here as a special occasion, and because it's your birthday. So he was real happy about that. And then we walked to this restaurant called House of Flavors. He said that he used to work there. And then when he used to work there, he said he used to work there as a kitchen porter. And then he said that he was kind of like hoping they would give him a discount, but we didn't get a discount. But my boyfriend ordered, they asked us if we wanted Papa John's. And we said, yes, we'll have Papa John's. And then my boyfriend ordered onion bhaji as a starter. And then my friend ordered lamb kaftas as a starter. And I have to tell you that I didn't say anything to my friend because I didn't want him to put him off his dinner. But those lamb kaftas look like turds. But I didn't say anything because I didn't want to put him off his meal, so I just kept my opinions to myself. And then I ordered a butter chicken, and my friend ordered a butter chicken, and my boyfriend ordered a salmon curry. So we had our dinner. It was a lovely dinner. It was a delicious dinner, but it came up to 84 pounds. And I didn't know how much it was going to cost, but I gave my boyfriend 30 pounds for my half. And then when he said it was 84, I said, do you want me to give you some more money? I was going to give him 10 pounds to make it 40 pounds. But he said no, that he didn't need any more money because his mother had given him some money. So he was just going to use the money that his mother had given him. And I said, okay. And then so when we left, the owner and the chef came and were talking to my friend because he used to work there. But they didn't give us a discount. And then so we walked back to my place. And then when we walked back to my place, he decided he wanted to have a tipple. So he's got this bottle of Chivas Regal whiskey that's been cured for 13 years. So we had some Chivas Regal whiskey. All three of us did. And then he's asking questions about my sister. So I phoned my sister so he could talk to my sister. But my sister's not interested. She's just being nice to be polite. She's not interested. And so I'm not supposed to be even having any whiskey because I've got stage 2 liver disease. So I had a little bit of it. But then I gave my friend the rest of it. And then so after I had the whiskey, he decided he was going to go home. He decided he was going to keep the suit in my flat. So now, even though I've got a tiny little studio apartment, I've got my things, my boyfriend's things, and my friend's things in my flat. So, and then so he left. We said goodbye and everything. And then I decided I was going to wash the dishes, do the laundry, and iron. And I was walking and I looked in the trash can. And when we were gone to the handout and my friend was supposed to be sleeping, he had eaten 4 of these little tarts that you can buy. In the UK, you can buy these little tarts or pies or something. It's like a mince pie, but it wasn't. It was like a birthday pie. But they're like this size, you know. It's a pie, but instead of really big pie, it's like this size. Well, when we were gone, he had eaten all 4 of those pies. And he had eaten a piece of this birthday cake that the people in the church gave him because he was asking for a birthday cake. And so my friend is a comfort eater. He's a comfort eater. And the only reason why he's not obese is because he rides his bike and he walks and he does a physical job. He's a kitchen porter. But he is overweight. He is overweight. But the only reason why he's not obese is because he does a lot of exercise. So I found that out when I was like doing my laundry, washing my dishes, ironing my clothes. I just happened to look in the trash and saw the evidence that he had eaten these little pies that we were supposed to have. We were supposed to share them. And he ate all 4. And plus a piece of cake when we were gone. And then, so he's upset about his weight. And I said, okay, well, we're all going to go on a diet. All 3 of us need to lose weight. So we're all going to go on a diet. But he just can't control himself. He just can't control himself. So that was my day. I spent the entire day with my friend because it's his birthday. And then I told him, before he left, I said, you know, I have other things to do, but I spent the entire day with you. And I said, I did this for you. And among the other things that I have to do is I have to enter a Kaggle competition. And that takes time to do. And you need to be by yourself to do that. And then this week, I'm taking this week off to help my boyfriend paint his room. So when you see me in my video tomorrow, I'm going to be looking like a right rag bag because I'm not wearing any nice clothes to paint a room. I've got an old t-shirt that's about 35, 40 years old that I can wear. And I'm going to wear some leggings that are probably going to be ruined. And so I'm probably going to have to go out and buy some leggings to replace these leggings that have been ruined. So now you know my day. And I've got some other videos to make about the status of my mother's health. But I wanted to make this video about my day, spending the entire day with my friend who's a Sikh and is dyslexic. So thank you so much for watching my video. If you like my video, please like and subscribe. It means a lot to me that you're watching my video and taking an interest in my life, as pathetic as it may be.